The weighted mean comes into play when you're combining groups. The weighted mean gives you the overall average for these groups. So the overall average for combined groups. So let's say I have two groups, Group A and Group B. And so I'm just going to keep this really simple to get the idea across. Let's say in Group A, let's say these are two groups of kids. And in the first group, the kids are aged 4, 5, and 6. And in the second group, I've got 3 kids as well, and they are aged, I don't know, let's say 14, 15, and 16. Now, my average for each group can be worked out by finding the sum. So 4 plus 5 plus 6 gives me a total of 15. 15 divided by 3 equals to 5. So my average for the first group is going to be 5. My average for the second group, I can do the same way. I'm going to sum up my x, and so 14 plus 15 plus 16, that's 45. And so the average for this group is going to be 45 divided by 3, and so that is how much? That's going to be 15. And so I'll put that here. What if we then pooled all of these kids together? Well, there's 2 ways of doing that. I'm going to start by doing it the long way. Let's actually pool all of the kids together. So 4, 5, 6, 14, 15, and 16. And then we find the total there. Now if you add these up, this column of all of the kids' ages will add up to be 60. And the mean will end up being how much? It's going to be 60 divided by not 3 anymore, but 6, because we have a total of 6 kids, all in this same group. So we've got 60 over 6, that's 10. So the combined average for A plus B is going to be 10. Now that's fine, you can take all of your data and go back and do all of the work again, but there is another method for doing this. It's called the weighted mean. And the formula for the weighted mean says you can find the mean. I could use a population mean or sample mean. In your textbook they call it a sample mean, so I guess I could have been doing that as well. So let's pretend, for the sake of keeping it straightforward, that I actually have been treating these as sample means. All right, so let's do that now. Just need the right color. Okay, so my sample mean, here it's going to be the sample mean. If I want my sample mean for the groups combined, I can use the weighted mean. The weighted mean has this formula. You take the sum of x for your first group, you add that to sum of x for your second group, and then you divide that by your first group size plus your second group size. I know that my sum of x from the first group was 15. For my second group, it was how much? It was 45. Group 1 plus group 2 sizes, that was 3 plus 3. This gives me a total of 60 over 6, which of course is the same as what we got there. 60 over 6 gives us a mean of 10. Okay, another way we could have done this in this particular case was we could have taken the average of our 2 averages. The average of 5 and 15, if you do 5 plus 15 divided by 2, that also gives you 10. But this trick here, even though this was really fast, just take the average of the 2 averages, won't always work. This only works in this situation because we have 3 people in this group and 3 people in the second group. We have equal sample sizes. So if you have equal sample sizes, you can get away with just taking the average of the 2 averages. But if we didn't have that, if we had more people in group 1 or group 2, that would have made this answer here definitely come out to be the wrong answer. It wouldn't have matched what we get using this formula. Now I'm going to go through this one more time, and I'm going to do it using, I'll use two different sample sizes just to show you that you can't always just take the average of the two averages. So let me clear a little bit of space here, and we can go back through and do that. Okay, I'll just leave my formula up. All right, so I want two groups. So my first group, I guess I'll just leave as being the same as the first group that I had before, but the second group, I'll make it a larger group. So I'm going to make this, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, 18. Okay, so we have two different group sizes. We already know for the first group that the sum of x was equals to 15, and that gave us a mean of 15 over 3, which is 5. So we've got that taken care of for the first group. The mean for group A is 5. For the second group, what do I get? Well, I've got 8 plus 10, that makes how much? That's 18, plus 12, that makes 30, and then this brings me up to 48. So the sum of x here is 48. The mean for group B, that's going to be 48 divided by, I have 4 scores now, this gives me 12. Now, I can't just take the average of these two. It's not as simple as that. The average, incidentally, of 5 and 12, 5 plus 12 divided by 2. Keep in mind, this is going to be wrong. I just want to show you that this is not the way to do it. 5 plus 12 is 17. 17 over 2, that gives me 8.5. So that will not be our mean. Our mean, the weighted mean, to do it properly, we're going to do it this way. It's the sum of the first data set, so that's 15, plus the total of my second data set, my sum of x for the second data set, that's 48. And then I've got 3 scores in the first sample, 4 scores in the second sample. So what have I got here? 15 plus 48. Let's bring out the calculator so I don't muck it up. So I've got 15 plus 48. That's 63, and then we're going to end up dividing that by 7. Okay, so divide that by 7. That'll be 9. Okay, so this is 63 on the top, 7 on the bottom. 63 divided by 7 is 9. So the true weighted mean is 9. It's not 8.5. So this method doesn't work when you have different sample sizes. Okay, one more thing that I can say about this is it was predictable that it would have been wrong to get 8.5, but rather that the mean would be a little bit closer. Notice between 5 and 12, if you were to draw this out on a number line, let me do that. If I was to draw this out on a number line where I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have one mean originally for one group that was at 5. And I have a mean for the other group originally, for group 2, my second group, that was at 12. Now, right in the center of the two of these, that's what the 8.5 is. It's exactly in the center. But when I combine my two groups, the new mean ends up being 9. So the new mean ends up being right here. Why is it closer to the 12? Well, it's closer to the 12 instead of being closer to the 5, or instead of being right in between the two of them, right at this dashed line here. The new mean is closer to the 12 because the 12 was the average for group B, and group B had 4 people. It had more weight. That's what a weighted mean is. A weighted mean is the overall average, and it's weighted towards the larger groups. If you have two groups that are the same size, then you would find that your new mean will be right in the middle because both groups, this one and this one, would have equal weight. But that's not what we found. We found that it was more towards the larger group because we did have a larger group. So that's what the weighted mean does. It gives extra importance to the larger group, or the group that has more scores.